Welcome to Week and Geek, your new comics preview for April 16th. I'm Mike Ortiz.
And I'm the Chris Brown.
So what do you got?
Well, I'm going to start off here with, I want to address something real quick, too. We always get lots of comments about what we are and aren't doing properly on the show. You know, everybody's got an opinion, and that's great. I mean, I think it's awesome that everybody on the planet is also out there doing a show, which gives them the reason to be an expert and a critic. So here's the thing. A lot of people ask, why is it that we don't cover certain books? Honestly, at the end of the show, at the credits, we tell you everything that's coming out in our closing credit sequence. This is us talking about the things that we're reading. Right. So thus, we're knowledgeable and have what is in our stacks. This is what's in our stacks, not just what's coming out. Right. So, Fred Talak had mentioned, well, how come we never mention Harley Quinn? And my response was, because I don't read it. But it's a popular book.
The first issue, or the Zero issue we did.
We did mention the Zero, but we just don't read it. And that's not to say that it's not a good book. That's not to say that we don't like it. That's not to say that I'm not trying to get that book in people's hands and sell it to them. Mm-hmm. I just don't read it. So to sit here with a stack of books that I don't read, what am I going to say? I'm behind on half the things that I do want to read, let alone the things that I don't. So we apologize if we don't mention something that you like on any given week. But you know what? If you really feel that strongly about it, drop me an email and I'll try and read it. Maybe you can change my mind and I'll try and read it and see if I like it. If I don't, doesn't mean it's a bad book. It just means I don't read it. That's the way that kind of goes. So this is just the stuff that we like, the stuff that we are reading. So, sometimes there's crossover between the two of us. We'll go back and forth with some books. Absolutely.
More often than not, there's stuff that I read that you don't read and stuff that you read that I don't read.
Which makes it a nice mix, having the both of us, because we can touch on some books that isn't being read by just one person. Right.
But so even though we don't talk about Harley Quinn, you should go buy it.
Yeah, absolutely. And issue 5 is out this week.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, but I'd like to start with a book that this is great. This is a book that, we like to talk about the things we like to talk about. And when they do a nice package like this is Day Tripper, hardcover, nice, a nice little collection here. It's a $34.99 hardcover. This is fantastic. I love that they did this because it gives me an extra opportunity to yet again talk about a book that I've been talking about for the last 3 years that I just love to pieces. Day Tripper is written and drawn by Fabio Moon and Gabriel Ba, who are twin brothers. They do some amazing, beautiful stuff, and this is a wonderful existential book about fathers and sons. As you're reading each thing, you're seeing different chapters in this man's life. However, they're going out of order. Well, at the end of each chapter, he dies. And you're like, well, wait a minute. He just died when he was 27, and now he's 14. Well, wait, and then the next issue he's 35. It's about what could happen, what might happen, how each moment is precious. This is a wonderful book, a beautiful book that I highly recommend you pick up in hardcover, and I'm really excited about it. I didn't buy the paperback for myself because I was waiting for this. Right. I wanted a nice book to put on my shelf that I can look at all the time. And this book is so good. It's been it was nominated and won an Eisner. It was for the best limited series, and the Eisner's a great award. A very it's the top of the industry. And by the way, Comics and More was nominated for an Eisner for Spirit of Retailing for this year.
I was going to mention that at the end, but I found a way to sneak it in earlier.
Because I'm like that. I'm shameless. Yes. But Day Tripper is a wonderful, wonderful book, and be sure to pick that up this week. Hopefully your retailers got it.
It's a little unfortunate that the nice hardcover is coming out now so far afterwards. I get it. The book was very popular. It kind of took off. It was one of those books that started off with a $1 issue. Yep. And did very well. But then it started getting a lot of buzz, and issues were sold out. So they very quickly got a trade paperback out shortly after the thing finished, because they wanted to make sure that people had access to it, and they wanted to, I guess, leave that out there before they could do a really nice deluxe treatment. I think like even Punk Rock Jesus, the same thing happened. Yeah, they were I think they were caught a little bit off guard by just how well received it was, because there's a lot of great books out there that get ignored. Oh yeah. This had so much potential to be ignored. It's not a superhero book. It's non-linear, but it's still so good that people ate it up. And now there's a really great version of it that people who want. I mean, even if you bought the individual issues, there's more stuff in here. It's oversized. This is a beautiful kind of archive of a great story.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I did not open this one yet because I'm actually saving this. I'm going to open this at home when I get home tonight and kind of enjoy it and flip through it. So I'm not doing that today. You don't get to see me open it just yet. Next, I've got Amazing X-Men number 6. So we've already wrapped up our storyline, which was the intent to bring back Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler is sort of, he's stuck without a soul now. Everyone's excited. Welcome home, Nightcrawler. And it looks like Nightcrawler is just stuck on the roof, feeling sad and soulless. I'm reminded of the episode of The Simpsons when Apu loses the Quickie Mart. Who needs the Quickie Mart? I do. And there you got Nightcrawler at the roof, just much like Apu, sad and dejected at his own coming home party. I'm curious to see how it is that Jason Aaron's going to handle this. I mean, we got a Nightcrawler number 1, and Chris Claremont's doing that, but he's still dealing with Nightcrawler's return in this book.
Yeah.
And it was so fun and so great. Who do we got on the art this time? It's someone different. It's not Cameron Stewart.
Oh, very good.
Okay, so some good stuff. Looks a little cartoony. Looks fun, but good stuff. And was he doing the Wolverine and the X-Men with Jason Aaron?
I don't know.
What else has he done? He's done something.
He did a lot of stuff with Grant Morris. I know he did
is that what
Sea
it was?
Guy.
Okay.
He did some Invisibles. He's done more Vertigo stuff than superhero stuff.
Gotcha. So, but this has been a great book,
It's
and
kind
I
of
enjoy
interesting
this.
that they follow up the kind of very fun, lighthearted, swashbuckling stuff with some real kind of soul searching stuff.
Yeah.
Jason Aaron can pretty much write the gamut of everything, every kind of story. I mean, he's written some really dark, twisted crime fiction, all the way up to pirates.
Right, and
great stuff.
I'm really kind of just now discovering his writing. I mean, I've always knew the man existed. It's not like I didn't know he was out there. I just wasn't reading any of it. And then he kind of gets put on a book that I was interested in, and I think he's done a great job with it.
Oh, fantastic!
And you know what? I might not have been as interested in the return of Nightcrawler had anyone else done it any other way.
Yeah,
I think it was just right on. Next up, I've got I try Hulk every time they do a new Hulk
You
book.
have gotten the first issue of every Hulk.
I do, and I usually end up falling off the book because I tell you what, I haven't loved a Hulk run since Peter David. And I know that sounds snotty and whatever, but he had such a handle on the character, and I feel like Marvel doesn't even know what to do with Hulk anymore. But here we've got Mark Waid and Mark Bagley doing Hulk. That's got me intrigued. The art looks fantastic. So hopefully they can do some good Hulk stories here. The Indestructible Hulk was all right. It just ended up not really being my thing. It was just with all the evolution we've seen with the Hulk and the things, again, that Peter David put him through, everything else just seems like a wipe off the board and start over kind of thing. And I don't know. I like to see the Hulk develop and all of that rich history that they've given him, rather than just, we're going to add yet another personality in there, and then we're just going to approach it different. We've separated a Banner from the Hulk again, and wah, wah. Like, I've seen that so many times, but I think Mark Waid's going to do a good job. I mean, he's a great writer. I liked what he certainly pulled Daredevil out of that pit that what's his name had done. Yeah, he dug him out of the pit that Diggle put him in.
the pit that Diggle dug.
Indeed. So I'm excited. We got Who Shot Bruce Banner on the cover. Well, let's see. The cover looks pretty great. I want to see where that's going. Next up, I've always talked about these, basically the gold key stuff that Dynamite's doing now. I liked, Turok was okay. I liked what they did with Magnus. Now they're finally giving me my guy. This is the one I've been waiting for, Solar Man of the Atom. This is issue number 1. This is written by Frank J. Barbiere with Joe Bennett doing the art. I'm not familiar with Joe Bennett, but I like Frank J. Barbiere's stuff. There's another one of his books in my stack. Actually, it's the one I got right underneath. Oh, wow. And he also did the 5 Ghosts of Fabian Gray. So he's done some cool things. He's a good writer that kind of just came onto the scene, has taken everybody by storm here. Everyone's kind of noticing. Now, it looks like there's some space stuff. I don't know what kind of a science fiction approach they're going to take to Solar, but I've always enjoyed it. I liked it when it was with Gold Key. I loved it when it was with Valiant. The original Gold Key stuff was very much about the fear of nuclear proliferation. I mean, and it was it was being written in the 60s. That was a thing they were worried about. And, now we have nuclear proliferation. So let's see where let's see what someone else's approach is going to be. Next up, I have that other book by Frank J. Barbiere that I was just mentioning here. We've got The White Suits by Dark Horse Comics. This is issue 3 of 4. I am an issue behind, so that's kind of that instance that I was talking about before. I'm behind on the stuff I do want to read, let alone all of these great titles that are coming out by so many great creators that we don't get to mention every week. But this has got a really neat color scheme, kind of working with almost like a 3-color thing. This is kind of black and white and red dominant. There was some stuff going on with the mob, and then there's this other kind of group, the White Suits, that were coming in and taking care of business. I need to catch up on that second issue, so I really know what's going on. But I loved the first issue, and I'm curious to see where that's going. Now, this is the next book here by IDW is a book that I am, in fact, caught up on. However, when this miniseries has seemingly become an annual, it's kind of hard to really remember what happened before. We've got Frankenstein Alive, written by Steve Niles, with art by Bernie Wrightson. So I imagine what takes them time is just Bernie Wrightson's beautiful art. And it's my understanding that this now looks, this is all penciled, it's not even inked, so it's the straight pencils and then colored over. From what I understand, Bernie Wrightson has developed an allergy to ink. So when he was writing on that, that's what takes him so long now.
Interesting.
Is he's not doing the inks, he's just doing the pencil stuff, but he's really trying to put his work into that because he can't use ink anymore.
Interesting.
It's beautiful stuff. It's a Frankenstein story done by Bernie Wrightson. What more do I need to tell you? I mean, even if it wasn't written by Steve Niles, and I'm not the biggest Steve Niles fan in the world, I don't dislike him, but I won't pick something up just because his name's on it. But I will pick something up just because Bernie Wrightson's name is on it. Awesome stuff. And I'll tell you what, I met him once at Motor City a couple of years ago, and it's kind of funny when you see guys that just do this beautiful artwork and creepy, scary stuff, and then he's super normal. And it was, maybe I was like disappointed that he wasn't creepy and weird and scary.
Yeah.
He was just like a super normal, quiet dude. And I was like, oh,
very strangely soft spoken.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would not get that all this weird macabre stuff comes out of his brain.
No, not at all. But I love this stuff. I'm going to have to go back and kind of revisit these other issues. But this is supposed to basically be taking place after, I believe, Bride. Right? It's just kind of following the Frankenstein's monster. And the creature and what he has to go through. So it's some good stuff, and heck, I could just stare at the artwork all day. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Next, I've got Exo Manowar number 24. This is a book that I've mostly gotten caught up on. A little bit spotty, but there's something going on out in space. Exo's got to figure it out, and there is one of these aliens from that battle that they had that was floating around, and he's hell-bent on killing Exo. He's kind of got a half armor. He's going crazy, and Eric finds himself in a battle with this guy, like up on the moon. So I don't know, a guy in a robot, crazy sentient metal mech robot suit versus a crazed alien on the moon. Yeah, all right, I'm in.
All right.
He's trying to get the armor. I mean, obviously the aliens don't want Eric having the armor. There's a human. It's disrespectful in their eyes, even though the armor chose Eric. But this is still prelude to Armor Hunters. I really like this book. I think it's been solid. I think Valiant's done a great job with most of their titles, and I'm looking forward to checking that out. Next, I've got, this is kind of sad. This is issue 404 of Curse. This is it. Mike Morisi and Tim Daniel aren't going back to do any more. This is it. They're done. This Curse story is done. Beautiful stuff, though. It's really a neat werewolf story. There's some good background to our main character, and everyone kind of thinks he let his wife die, and in the last issue kind of find out that it was in fact this werewolf that got to her, and so he's got a beef against him, and there's a weird drunk in town that's trying to do his own stuff, and just really nice artwork. I mean, by who we got here? Colin Lorimer is doing most of the story, and then Riley's doing the werewolf stuff. And, it's just absolutely gorgeous. What more do I need to say about Riley Rossmo that you haven't heard from me already? I mean, obviously, I'm a slappy for his artwork. I think he also does some beautiful horror stuff. I was just talking with Tom Hutchison this morning about Riley, Tom Hutchison from Big Dog Inc., and he was unfamiliar with his artwork. And it's just like, I think the guy's just top-notch, some really, really beautiful stuff. And it was kind of interesting how there's still some people out there who haven't seen his stuff yet. But he's all over the place and doing all kinds, again, speaking of genres and various things that the guys are capable of. He's all over and does some beautiful stuff. So I'm sad to see this book go, but as I mentioned to Mike Morisi yesterday on Facebook, not everything has to be an ongoing. If you got a story to tell and you got to get out, you're going to tell your best story by just telling it, getting out. Sometimes that's the best way to go.
Yeah, I think so.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to reading that. Good stuff. Beautiful cover.
Cool.
So what do you got?
Well, I was doing really good for a while. I was very caught up on my reading, but lately that has taken a bad turn. So you're going to hear a lot of this. I've got The Star Wars number 7. This is the adaptation of George Lucas's original 1974 draft of Star Wars, which is very different. A lot of the names are the same. They've kind of tweaked some of the visuals, combining some of the early concept art. I've talked about this plenty. I haven't read the last issue. I don't know exactly what's going on. Just kind of flipping through it. It looks like we are on actually reading at the little synopsis at the front, which is nice. It's the planet Yavin, which in Star Wars, the first Star Wars was the planet at the end of the first movie. But here, Yavin is kind of the home world of the Wookiees. So they have landed on Yavin. The Empire has captured Princess Leia. They're hanging out with Wookiees, basically kind of the Ewoks from Endor. So that's been kind of the interesting thing about this all along, is seeing familiar names and faces and places in different ways.
Wookiees look weird too.
Yeah, there's some weird looking Wookiees, and the Valorum is the evil Sith Lord. There is a character named Darth Vader, but he's not kind of the main villain. So this has really been just a nice, interesting look at a Star Wars that could have been, with some fantastic artwork. Hopefully I will be able to get caught up soon.
The Wookiees look like someone's too big a fan of the Weekly World News. It's somewhere between Batboy and Bigfoot.
Now those, I do recall, if you look at some of the very early concept art, that is kind of how he looked. And this,
really?
And this green Han Solo, all of that was in there. So some interesting stuff. Next up, Uncanny X-Men number 20. This one I actually think I am caught up on. This is the team led by adult Cyclops, whereas opposed to the all new X-Men, which was young Cyclops, but now he's not even with that team anymore. Adult Cyclops wants to figure out who's been sending Sentinels after the X-Men. It looked like it was S.H.I.E.L.D. There's also, S.H.I.E.L.D. has been infiltrated here, as it has been in pretty much everything going on with Marvel Comics these days. S.H.I.E.L.D. really gets infiltrated a little too much for being the best spy organization in the world. We've got a helicarrier, so that means it's going to crash into something too, because
it always does.
That's the only purpose of a helicarrier, is to crash it. But yeah, we've got Cyclops, I guess, kind of working with S.H.I.E.L.D. to try and figure out who's been building these new S.H.I.E.L.D. Sentinels and sending them after Cyclops and the rest of the mutants. So this has been good stuff. As we've mentioned before, I personally kind of lean a little bit more towards all new X-Men. This is kind of the sister book, but it's still been solid stuff. And we've got some great Chris Pagello artwork. Next up, Superior Spider-Man number 31. Now, again, I have actually not read the last 2 issues of this. But we know at the end of last issue that Peter returned to his own body.
Right.
And now we're going to be back to Amazing Spider-Man, next issue. So, yeah, we get to say goodbye. Even, actually, he switched back to his original costume pretty quickly, too. That's kind of strange. Peter's back.
Well, it's not like he got rid of him. He's still got him in the closet.
Right, but it's just kind of funny that all of a sudden it's like, you know what, I'm back, and even though there's a crisis going on, I'm not going to wear the costume that the bad guy wore. People have to know. And, Peter's back.
Superheroes are like Cher in that way. Yeah. Costume changes.
So, yeah.
Show must go on.
31 issues
not until
later.
I change my costume.
And we do get the revelation of who the Goblin is. Interesting. I'm not going to say who it is, but it's kind of.
I sort of feel like Lex Luthor in that episode of Justice League Unlimited when he takes off. I'm going to find out who the Flash is when he switches body. I have no idea who this is. I just took a peek and went, I have no idea who that is.
So we've got that. There looks like there's a backup story here also, and then we've got a reprint of what appears to be the Silver Surfer story, also written by Dan Slott from the old Marvel .1.
Okay.
So if you didn't check out the Silver Surfer, they didn't reprint the whole first issue like they did before, but they gave you a little tease of what to expect. But good stuff. I know I have actually enjoyed this run with Doc Ock as Peter, but certainly it's nice to get Peter back. And I think overall a pretty good solid 31 issues.
Right.
Not bad. Next up, Ms. Marvel number 3. Once again, I have not read issue 2, but issue 1 was really good. This is the new Ms. Marvel. She is a Muslim teenage girl.
I like the art.
Great artwork by Adrian Alfona, who was on Runaways, which is very, very similar in tone to this. This is a book that really, this is not targeted at me. This is not a book that's made. There's a ton of comics made for like 45-year-old dudes, very few comics made for teenage girls. Yet somehow this is still a comic that I like a lot. They've kind of got the tone right. They've got the awkwardness of being a teenager and having issues with your parents right. So even if you're not a teenager, if you were a teenager and you can still kind of remember it, it's actually got some nice moments with some great artwork. And yeah, this is kind of spins out of Inhumanity a little bit. She actually got her powers triggered when the metagene or the Terrigen bomb went off. Good stuff. She's got this kind of shape-changing thing going on.
Inhumanity barely spawned out of Inhumanity.
Right.
I mean, did that ever finish? Like, whatever happened to that? Like,
well, the Inhumans series started.
Finally.
So who knows what's going on with that. Next up, we've got Justice League number 29. This is the Forever Evil tie-in. It looks like here we've got Cyborg and the Metal Men taking on Grid, which is Cyborg's old body with a new evil machine consciousness. Yeah, it looks like we've got Cyborg taking care of the machine part of it because the rest of it's going to be resolved in Forever Evil 7, which this leads into, which is now kind of late.
Right.
But yeah, we've got Cyborg hooking up with some villains because the villains are always going to fight the villains in a book like Forever Evil. Forever Evil has been kind of strange. It's been pretty good. Kind of meandered a little bit, and then this long break has not helped. But overall, I still think it's pretty solid. It's kind of an interesting cover where we've got the Metal Men all looking like members of the Justice League.
Oh, interesting.
But that doesn't actually appear to be happening in the book itself. So just a neat cover.
It is a neat cover. I didn't notice that until you pointed it out.
Next up, we've got Green Lantern New Guardians number 30. This is, as I've said several times, this is my favorite of the Green Lantern books. It's a good sci-fi book. This is continuing the God Killers storyline where Zal, the goddess of the Tamaranian people, Starfire's people, has shown up on this planet, and then there's basically a group of people who want to go around eradicating gods. It sounds a lot like the Thor story from a few years back, but very different in kind of tone. This is more of a sci-fi book. Thor is still kind of a fantasy book, but really good stuff. Really been enjoying what they've been doing. Great artwork by Brad Walker. And I'm just a big Kyle Rayner fan, too, so I'm always digging his books. Next up, Batman Eternal number 2. This is the weekly Batman book. So this is going to be a tough one if I'm going to start falling behind.
Once you start falling too far behind, yeah, you're done. You fall a month behind, you're 4 issues behind.
Right. So I got to catch up on this. Great artwork by Jason Fabok. It's Scott Snyder, James Tynion, with Ray Fox, John Layman, and Tim Seeley. This is the weekly Batman book. It's set, I think, sometime in the near future. I'm not exactly sure how that's going on, but great artwork. Hopefully I can read, the first issue in this one before the next one come out. If I wind up getting 4 issues deep, I'm probably not going to continue the book. Next up, we've got the Batman number 30. This is the third time they've used this cover. This is 0 Year, the final act. So we're coming to the beginning of the last arc.
Is that the idea?
I think this is the beginning of the end of 0 Year, and then we'll kind of get back to the present day. So we've got a Batman book set in the future, a Batman book set in the past, and I guess if you want Batman set in the present, you got to go read Detective Comics or Batman and Robin or one of those other ones. But this is continuing the year one. I mean, it's an origin story. It's Batman versus the Riddler, and I'm an issue behind on this one too, so I don't know exactly where we are in terms of the story. But still, Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo have been doing a bang-up job. I've got a little weak. 0 Hour started off really good. Got a little soft in the middle. Let's hopefully this kind of final act will pick it back up again. But even if not, it's got some absolutely fantastic artwork.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's my stack.
All right, well, I guess that brings me to the top of my stack. We've got, this is a Dynamite number 1, Captain Action Cat, the Time Stream Catastrophe. I'm excited about this book. Obviously, we always talk about Art whenever Art's got a new Art and Franco have a new book out. Friend of the show, and Art always watches. But this is kind of fun too. Chris Smits, who ended up publishing All Yeah Comics for them, this is kind of a crossover with All Yeah. Right. Chris Smits used to be on the Zod Complex with us. Yeah. Which is where he gets his nickname Zod from.
Yes.
Everyone wanted to know, what is this Zod Complex you speak of? So now everyone calls him Zod. We had a fun time doing that show with Chris and Chad and you and I. And it's great to see Chris doing some stuff, and he gets a writing credit on this. I've known Chris for a very, very long time, very good friend. And it's awesome to see. Oh, here we go. Chris Zod Smith's right in the thing. There you go. Coming from the love that is the Zod complex. So that's a fun stuff. I'm just excited about this, and we always want to promote kids' books because that is a very important thing. Mm-hmm. And I want to promote the kids' stuff in here. So this is a fun book, and it's also got some blank cover variants on it too. Cool. So you can grab those up. We're in the midst of con season, so grab up those blanks and have Art or Franco do something cool.
They're mainstays at conventions all around the country, so I'm sure you can find them.
I told Smitty I expect a crappily done sketch on one of them for me. So.
I'm sure he can accommodate. My top pick is Sinestro #1. Now, we've already got, 5 Green Lantern books, 6 Green Lantern books. Larfleeze has been canceled. So this is going to sort of take up the slack and be the new 6th book. I love Sinestro. He's a great character. I actually find his character to be far more interesting than Hal Jordan. I think that's really the mark that Jeff Johns has left on the Green Lantern mythos. It's not going to be the multi-lanterns, even though that's kind of been an important thing. It's not going to be bringing Hal Jordan back. It's going to be making Sinestro really a great villain. He's kind of in the mold of Magneto. I mean, the old Sinestro was just kind of a mustache-twirling, cut right out of standard casting villain. Now he's a very complex, very interesting character, a character that thinks what he's doing is right. He's the hero of his own story in his own mind. And he has been redeemed in many ways. He became a Green Lantern again, and then at the end of Jeff Johns' run, he kind of became sort of a parallax type. He popped up in Forever Evil. I don't know if they kind of resolved. It looks like he's back to his traditional Sinestro Corps costume here. So I've really been looking forward to this. Sinestro's a great character. I'm not that familiar with Cullen Bunn. He's done a lot of stuff that people have raved about. Certainly Sixth Gun, and then he did a lot of stuff with Marvel. I'm not that familiar with it, so I'm curious to see what it's going to be like. We've got artwork by Dale Eaglesham, who is absolutely fantastic. He started with this kind of new pencil-oriented style back on the Fantastic Four. He's done lots of Green Lantern stuff. Absolutely fantastic artist. We've got a great character. We've got a great artist. We've got a writer that's gotten a lot of buzz, and it's a new Green Lantern book, so that's always going to be something I try out.
And should be a little bit more interesting than Larfleeze, because like you said, it is focusing on kind of an interesting anti-hero that is a lot more complex than your typical villain that they give a book to.
Yeah, Larfleeze was an attempt at doing humor, and people always complain there are no humor comics, and then they publish humor comics and no one buys them, and then they don't publish them again for a while. I got a kick out of Larfleeze, but I'm sure this is going to be a much more interesting book.
It'd be like complaining about a variant cover you don't like, and so when they fix it, then nobody buys it. Good thing. Not that I have a specific example in mind.
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
But a good week for comics this week. I mean, runs the gamut from adult, day tripper, and to kids stuff. Some great stuff. Be sure to check all that out. And that has been your Week in Geek.
And congratulations again.
Oh, well, thank you. Yes. You know what? I'll touch on it real quickly again. It was really cool to obviously I squeezed it in just because that's how I am. I'm shameless. But it was really cool just to receive that nomination. And it's my understanding that originally they nominate 200, then they whittle it down to 50, and that's when you're asked to make a video. We were asked to make a video. So we're in that top 50 is my understanding. Cool. But here's the thing. If there are 50 stores that are in that top, and there are 52 states in the U.S., and this isn't just the U.S., this is North America, so it includes Canada. There's not even one store per state. But it's my understanding that there are 2 other stores in the state of Michigan that have also been nominated. I believe Green Brain has, and I know Wonder World down in Taylor has. So if there are 3 stores in the Metro Detroit area that all have been nominated out of less than 1 per state, that's impressive. Yeah. And, and I'm proud to be in that group. So
the Metro Detroit area has had a long and very, very rich comic shop history.
Indeed.
One of the best in the country. Certainly we've got, in terms of per population, we've got some of the most comic shops around, and a lot of great stuff to choose from, a lot of great shops.
Yep. And it's my understanding we're getting another one. Someone is moving directly in between Lauren and I with the shop. So good luck to that gentleman. And I think now we've reached our Week and
Yes,
Geek.
that's your Week and Geek.